We are coming live and for the first time getting you visuals of India International Exchange, the first international exchange of BSE to be launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi today evening, to discuss what this exchange means for the Indian capital markets and how different it would be from the already existing Indian equity exchanges. We have with us none other than Mr. Ashish Chauhan, MD and CEO of BSE himself. Mr. Ashish Chauhan, firstly, congratulations for finally giving a shape and ensuring that India International Exchange is taking off the ground, because this has been a dream project of Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. This has been in the making for almost a decade, if I could say that. How do you see this? How different a chapter is going to be opened in the Indian capital market from today?
No, as you said, this was a dream project of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. When actually he was CM of Gujarat in 2006-07, he kind of started visualizing this, and the fact is he kind of thought that if Singapore or Dubai or Hong Kong could sort of compete with the rest of the world, if India has to sort of take its place in the League of the Nation, you also need to have a similar international finance center, and that's how he started kind of setting this up. For international finance center, there are many things required. One is of course infrastructure. It takes long time in India. And so this has taken some longer time. This is the first building in the SEZ, the International Finance Services Center, that has come up. And when he was in BSE in, I think, June 27, 2013, that time while talking, he kind of said, why don't you set up a new international exchange at GIFT City? And I said, okay, on the spur of the moment. And so since then, we have been in talks, and in 2015, the Vibrant Gujarat, last Vibrant Gujarat, we signed the MOU, and just one day before the Vibrant Gujarat this year, he's actually inaugurating. So it's a moment of pride for all of us that we are trying to create a framework which is very, very different from what we have seen. This has nothing to do with India actually, in a sense. This is India's gift to the world.
That's what, Ashish, if I could ask you, as you're rightly pointing out, clearly this would be like an SEZ area in itself, where a lot of Indian regulations will not be applicable. Whatever trade happens will be non-rupee denominated. So in that sense, how it's going to be different, say, from a regular BSE, Dalal Street Stock Exchange, where trades are placed?
See, one is that this is not a stock exchange. This is universal exchange. In a sense, it will trade equities, commodities, currencies, interest rates, and everything else that is possible to trade. So this is more a larger kind of a framework. Second thing is, here the Indians are not allowed to trade. This is basically the retail investors of India are not allowed to trade, because India has a capital accounts control, while as this place does not have capital accounts control. In fact, it's the other way around. It's a reverse controls that Indians are not even allowed to participate, but corporates of India, which are allowed to hedge their positions across the world, would be participating. The NRIs, the FIIs, the FPIs, the Japanese housewives, and the American trusts, and the Dubai sort of family offices, everything, basically all of them can actually start trading, start investing here, and that's why we will end up trading in commodities. But more importantly, this is going to be 22 hours trading. Indian exchanges trade 6 hours. This exchange will start trading when Japan starts waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning of India time, and slowly, basically when the sun moves around from Japan to China to India to London to US, and then when US sleeps, we'll close at around 2 in the night India time. So we'll be having any 2 hours of break, but if things go all right, we may actually increase the timing. So this is going to be one of the longest trading exchanges in the world, and also it's going to be the fastest exchange in the world. The response time we have measured here is around 4 microseconds, which is around 33% lower than what BSE is. BSE was claiming to be the fastest exchange till now. The nearest fast exchange after BSE is in Singapore, which is like 60 microseconds.
Mr. Chauhan, if I could ask you, as you're saying 4 microseconds, 22 hours a day trading will happen. So clearly, to begin with, when is going to be the first trade that we could witness? And secondly, the kind of brokers who have registered, in terms of who are the brokers and how many brokers have already registered. And most importantly, as you rightly saying, this would be competing with, say, Hong Kong or Singapore. What would the kind of volume, say, at least to begin with, you are looking at?
See, basically volumes are difficult to predict, and depends on which products we are able to get license for to begin with, and slowly I think all the products should start trading. So when it comes into the full force, probably it will be similar numbers as you know Indian markets have practically been exported abroad. Now Singapore trades more index futures than India does on Indian products. Similarly, Dubai trades more gold and Indian rupees than the Indian sort of exchanges do. So effectively, we have exported markets abroad. That was the criticism of the government also, and this is also one of the places where probably some of the market can actually come back. But the fact is, you may also have a lot of arbitrage taking place because this is a very low friction market. There is no STT, there is no CTT, there is no service tax, there is no stamp duty even, and then you don't have income tax for 5 years, and rest later on half the income tax, only MAT of 9% and no dividend distribution tax. So there are lots and lots of things which are comparable to say Hong Kong or Singapore or Dubai. You should not be thinking that why these guys are given these advantages, because they are not Indians. They are actually trading already in Dubai, or they are already trading in Singapore. You are trying to attract them here. Indians are not even allowed, so there is no sort of comparison here. But this is basically India's attempt to create a framework where Indian expertise is used to provide services on financial markets across the world.
And quickly, if I could ask you the kind of investment that you have already pumped in for this particular exchange, and going forward, do we see the investments getting scaled up?
No, it would be, because see, over next 3 years, we would be sort of putting in close to 500 crore rupees, and of course our members would be putting in several times more. So effectively, this is basically just the beginning. And if you were to set up any exchange of this type in the world, it would cost you at least few $100 million. And so it's basically BSE's expertise, which is like setting up very high-tech, high-end activities in a controlled cost framework. So if you sort of compare only on the cost which has been implemented, that may not be comparable. But if you see anywhere in the world how they are able to set up newer exchanges of this scale, this size, this span, then you will realize this is a few $100 million at least that it takes. And also the time, effectively after the last budget that has been approved and gazetted and notified, it's practically last 4 months since we started working really in right earnest, because everyone was comfortable with the tax benefits that have been provided to the sort of this special economic zone. And the way I look at it is, the Hong Kong has been used by China as a place which is like within China but not within China. They call it one country, two systems. China has its own Hong Kong dollar, not Chinese renminbi. It has its own regulations. And so China has been used over the last 40 years to attract a lot of investments into, Hong Kong has been used to get a lot of investment in China, almost trillions of dollars. And that will be now, for me, GIFT City will be
the focal point,
the Hong Kong for India. And so if you conceptualize that if India has to grow over next 30, 40 years, it will require capital. Of course, some capital will come from within, but some capital will come from abroad. And you required a place like Hong Kong for China, which becomes a gateway of gateway for the capital to come in and go out. And that's where I think the GIFT City will play a big role in attracting capital to India.
Mr. Chauhan, if I could quickly also ask you finally, in terms of competition, clearly you will have the first mover advantage. Yes, there will be debates, arguments of perhaps NSE is also trying to catch up. But also, one, how do you see that advantage shaping up? And secondly, there's also a talk of perhaps now Maharashtra CM also pushing for an international city in Mumbai. Do you see a space in a country like India to have another, say, gift like a setup in Mumbai? Or clearly, there, perhaps only one setup would be enough? From an exchange point of view, how do you look at it?
See, we look at it from the perspective of servicing people. So this has been approved and this has been allowed. So we basically have taken the leadership here, and as and when any new opportunities come, we will have to take it in the right spirit, saying what are the kind of activities we can do and so on and so forth. So for the timing, we would focus our energy here, and later on we can
want to
decide.
Keep your first mover advantage intact.
For us, see, this is something which we are doing for the nation, and we are. BSE has been there for 140 years. Whatever is good for India is good for BSE. So that's how we work. This has been the project where you needed an exchange to service the world, and we think we have the capabilities, we have the sort of abilities to create systems, processes, risk management activities which can actually run 22 hours, trading multiple products. And that's what, of course, we have partners like Deutsche Börse and S&P, Dow Jones, and who have also helped us come to where we have come. But effectively, the BSE today is a what I call the much different BSE than what you had seen in the past.
Mr. Chauhan, my last question before I could let you go. We all know you have been maintaining a staunch silence, but yes, congratulations, your DRHP has been cleared by market regulator SEBI. IPO would be round the corner. Finally, now Gift City taking shape, perhaps February 1st week is a realistic time where we could see BSE being traded in NSE?
It's a good question. My lawyers have told me not to answer these questions relating to IPO, so I would like to pass, but thank you.
But I'm sure we could see some movements in the coming weeks. That much at least you can say your lawyers must have not put any restriction.
No, I'm smiling, so.
Okay. Mr. Chauhan, once again,
thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot for spending this. A pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, sir.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.